If you're applying for jobs, internships, medical school, and your CV looks like a hot mess, here's how you can make it better. I just want to emphasize as well, a CV is often not one size fits all. Unless you're applying to like loads and loads of retail jobs and nothing else, you are probably going to have to adapt your CV depending on what you're applying for. So for example, if you're going to apply for a retail job and then you're going to apply for a care job, you are obviously going to have to tailor it. You can't just use a blanket CV for everything, but you can make a baseline template CV that's really strong and just adapt it minorly for whatever you're applying for, and I'm going to show you how to do that today. At the top, you'd need your name, your phone number, your email address, and the city you live in. You don't need like your full-on address. Bearing in mind, you're going to be applying to a lot of places, so you don't really want all of these people to know where you live. Please don't use like xxqtpieXOX@gmail.com. Like, use a professional email address. If you don't have a professional email address, then just make one. And by professional email, I just mean your name and then a few numbers. That's it. The things that you'd have on your CV is your like work experience, your professional history, work experience, and any volunteering. And then you'd have your education. In my opinion, when you're applying for jobs like part-time jobs and stuff, you'd have your professional history before your education, because that's what they're going to be looking for most. If you're applying for a clothing shop, they're not really going to care if you have a 9 in maths. They're going to look to see if you have experience that is relevant to the job that you're applying for. The professional history and the education history should be ordered in terms of most recent first. So for example, if your last job was in a supermarket, you'd put that at the top before your older jobs. With each professional entry, you'd have the starting month and year and the ending month and year, unless of course you're still working there, in which case your ending month and year would be just to present, not obviously the month and the year. Underneath each professional history entry, you'd bullet point key roles that you undertook there that is relevant to the job. Please don't take the opportunity to sit there writing entire paragraphs about how you were ordering shelves in a pharmacy, because they don't need to know all of that. You can just bullet point ordering shelves, serving customers, delivering prescriptions, example, just to show the key information that they need to see. They don't need to see everything else. Education as well, for each institution you would have the starting month and year and the ending month and year, and your grades. And then the last section you'd have at the bottom is your skills. And your skills need to be these things called hard skills, not soft skills. Soft skills would be saying things like, you know, teamwork, empathy, communication. Like, while those things are important, anybody could go out there and say, oh yeah, I have good communication skills. That's pretty much meaningless now in the job market. What they want to see more of is these things called hard skills, actual skills that you've picked up through education, through your day-to-day personal life. For example, call handling, cash handling, cashiering, handling delivery, stock inventories, customer service, those kind of things. That's what they're looking to see, especially with a part-time job within retail, for instance. You can include a few soft skills in there if you really want to, but just keep it to a minimum. Don't overload the page with all these synonyms of communication and teamwork and leadership. They don't need to know all of that. Some additional tips is keep it clean with simple formatting. Please don't use Comic Sans, and please don't use the colours of the rainbow in your CV, because that looks really unprofessional. Black text with a sensible font is all you need, also with a sensible sizing. Keep it at 1 to 2 pages max. You really don't want a massive, long, rambling CV, because these employers, they're human at the end of the day. If you send into their inbox this 50-page long CV about your life story, they're not really going to have the patience to sit there and read all of the important info, and you're probably going to get rejected. Please do spell check as well. I saw a CV once where the email was spelled wrong. I think it was supposed to be like outlook.com, and instead they put outlook.com. Even if they could figure out what the email was, it just looks unprofessional and rushed. Don't have any giant blocks of text either, because again, that's just really difficult to read. If you're thinking about the employers having to skim through all of these CVs, they don't want to see this massive essay. If you have a giant block of text, break it up with paragraph spacing. Brings me on to my next point, which is have consistent spacing. Don't have like massive like gaps between certain professional entries and then little gaps between other ones, because again, it looks unprofessional and untidy. Save and send them as PDFs unless otherwise stated, because PDFs help to keep the format. Sometimes if you were to save it as a Word document, the formatting can get messed up, and sometimes they wouldn't be able to open it with the software that they have on their devices. So PDF is the safest option. And my final advice is get it critiqued by people who have a professional history. Obviously, don't send your CV to be critiqued to your Uncle Bob who's never had a job in his life. Get people who have a solid career history to have a look at your CV and suggest some changes to make sure it's the best it can possibly be. A lot of you may be going into sixth form after the summer, so if you want to get ahead and get the best possible grades in your A levels, then you can actually have a free lesson with an experienced tutor on LessonWise, where they can go through with you anything that you're worried about, any questions you may have, and overall build your exam confidence and your study performance and techniques. So to access that free lesson, all you have to do is go to the description of this video, click on that link that I left in there. It'll take you to a page where you just have to fill out a really quick form. It takes 30 seconds just so that they can match you with a tutor and get you started. Don't miss out. That's all my advice. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, or you can email me. My email is in my channel bio. Good luck with your job search. You got this, and yeah, bye guys.